What's going on? Hi, Abby, BB Cakes. Hi, guys. Audrey, Gabriella, Grand Rising to Gabriella. I love when you greet me with that. Got Baby Cakes, Victoria. Oh, Victoria, we have a call later today. I am pumped. Hi, guys. What's up? Okay, so this morning I have so much going on. I feel like my head is exploding. Hi, Jessica. Oh, my artist, Jessica. All the cosmic bosses up in her. Sophie up in her. I'm sorry, that was like literally Nelly circa 2003. Sophie, what's up? Elena, hi, Jamie. Cool. What's going on, everyone? Love seeing all my babes, my cosmic bosses, my mystical baddies, my high vibe honeys, my bodacious bunnies. I just went for a walk and it's legitimately like 40 degrees right now on the East Coast with a wind chill factor, and I am just shook over this. I was not expecting that. So everyone drop an emoji. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. Today, I wanted to just go over, it's Friday. It's the day of the goddess. One thing I'm excited for in Cosmic Boss is we're going to be going over how to work with like the moon phase, lunar calendar, but also how to work and align ourselves with the planets, the planetary rulers of the days of the week. And now that we have officially entered time as not being real, as an illusion and a human construct, I am leaning on this more than ever. So Friday, Venus Day, Goddess Day, we're going to be talking about Venus and Gemini and some of the things that it means for you. I know I mostly focus on these morning shows on what we call like the micro astrology, the daily transits. The moon is in Scorpio as a FY, but I wanted to spend a little time on Venus and Gemini on this Venus ruled day because we're going to be here for a while, kids. We're going to be in the Venus Gemini action for a while, for 4 months. And we're going to have a little retrograde backspin in Venus. So that's going to bring on some interesting things. I would like to share a low moment of my quarantine. Probably so far, one of the most stressful things that happened. My life partner, my life wizard, my fiance, he asked me to cut his hair, and I said I didn't really feel comfortable doing that. And he uses all of these razors and attachments, and there's like a fade and then a cutting. And I was like, this just seems really complicated. And he's a Libra, so I with a Scorpio rising, and I was like, I am not trying to mess with your looks right now. I cut his hair last night, and all was going well until I think I took off a little bit too much on his sideburn. And he was so sad. He like literally had to excuse himself. So I just want you to see some glimpses into, like, I know it maybe sound funny, but I was so sad. I felt like, oh my God, like, I don't also like not knowing how to do something. So I'm going to have to learn how to like legit cut hair. If anyone here is a hairdresser or a barber, please let me know. He's like, it's super simple haircut, just a triple fade, trim it here, avoid the cowlick, do this. And then I was like, oh, what? And then he's a Libra. So when it messed up, he was just like, I need a minute. Like he had to let go and like excuse himself. So that's what I'm up to. I tried watching a YouTube video. I don't think it was the right one. I gotta watch more. Men, the boy, like those haircuts with the fades, not that just men and boys have them, but fades are like, I was like, what? So, okay, yeah, thank you. I knew my cosmic bosses out there would have some information. Oh my God, Scorpio, Libra, this is the home haircuts right now are real. So, this Venus also rules our looks and beauty, and our like physical appearance. So I thought it was appropriate to bring it up for Venus Day. So, I'm going to just go with our good news for the day. There are so many beautiful things happening. I wanted just to shout out one thing. There's so many good things happening. I love seeing people with privilege, people with power, people with a platform coming together. We talked about my rant on Wednesday was like, we are not all in the same boat. I hate when people say that expression. There's a lot of this whole time is very clarifying. We're seeing who shows up, who puts their money where their mouth is, who is really here for people, who are doing things to be inclusive, who are doing things to like really put up where it like and show up, where it counts. And I just thought a cool story from Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter. Again, I feel like normally I take umbrage and I'm super suspicious of anyone who owns something as large as Twitter. But I did like the action. I mean, again, we saw so many amazing things happen this week. Tyler Perry hooking up all those groceries for the senior citizens in the morning. And then there's like the micro level, people in their community showing up for each other in beautiful ways. But the Jack Dorsey, I always like to see when something happens that kind of sets a bar for other people. I saw that he is, donating $1 billion, moving funds into going into like, COVID support for people who are unemployed. I forget exactly what it was going to, but what I liked about it is that he also said that after this, after Corona, that's going to go to, he had two organizations. One was, oh my God, I'm sorry guys, I don't have all my notes in front of me, but I'll share it on our stories. But he did, it's like a girls foundation or something for, underserved. I'm just gonna pull it up because it's really cool. And then the money's going to go somewhere else too. This is like the worst news report of all time, but you guys get what I'm saying. But what I liked about it is that he put the funds in a Google Doc. And so we can actually watch and see where these funds are going. Okay, he's doing $1 billion of his Square equity, which is 28% of his wealth, roughly, to fund global COVID-19 relief. And then when we disarm the pandemic, which I love that, the focus will shift to girls' health education and UBI. It will operate transparently and all flows tracked here in a Google Doc. That is some very Saturn and Aquarius action, moving to help the collective with just this digital technological transparency. I hope that kind of, again, sets a bar for other people. So I just wanted to share something I thought was cool, shout out, infuse a little positivity, hope, and just seeing like, okay, some people are using their money. I think that's good. If you have that much money, yeah, like 28% of that, $1 billion, great. I love it. I love when I see someone who's like a multimillionaire, billionaire, and they're like, I donated $10,000. And I'm like, like that's cute, but like what? So just want to shout that out. I've been doing a lot of shouting out to sacred masculine energy, nothing about gender, but about the energy of the masculine and the way it can show up for us, because I focus a lot of the work we do here on the divine feminine within all of us and how we can cultivate that and channel that. But also conversely, we have to remember that we carry that duality. We have balance. We have it all. We are all and we are nothing, all within us. So we have to like always check that. And if we don't highlight and show examples of the masculine and how sacred masculine energy shows up, then we're just going to be imbalanced all over again. So let's talk about Venus and Gemini. This is what I want to talk about today. I am talking. I am already feeling the Venus and Gemini energy. Your micro astrology, like I said, for the day is Cosmic RX, Moon in Scorpio, is just a good time. It like literally feels a little overcast and gloomy here. And I just think Moon and Scorpio days are great for going within, doing ritual, practicing some sex magic. If you guys came to my workshop last month, we also have the replay that we'll be sending out. It's a good time just to go within. And then Venus and Gemini, which I really want to focus on today, is going to be with us for 4 months. And then, yes, Venus is going to go retrograde exactly in May. So the first thing that we want to know is that Venus does actually not go retrograde every year. It goes, I think the last time Venus went retrograde was the summer before last. So we want to look out for when Venus goes retrograde, especially with the Saturn and Aquarius action happening. It's going to be, Venus is going retrograde in Gemini, and then we have Saturn and Aquarius. This is going to be a lot about like revolution in our relationships, how we love, the roles we take on within love, And then also the roles we take on, within gender, within like traditional monogamous relationships. Like there's gonna be the micro happening for you at home, but the macro of what we're gonna be entering in this time is like Venus and Gemini and Saturn Aquarius is like, hello, gender is a construct. Hello, relationships don't have to look a certain way. Like, we don't have to be in monogamous relationships. We don't have to, get married and have kids and the whole white picket fence thing. Like, there's this energy of like, love is what it is to your unique heart. And love is like a fingerprint, it's unique to you. And we do not get to judge, do not get to comment on, do not trying to get to conform anyone like idea of what love and relationship looks like to them, as long as it's consensual, as long as it's healthy, as long as there's just a mutual respect in that relationship. Besides that, it's like, just do you. Okay. And I think that because Venus and Gemini is the sign of the twins, we have the duality, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is, the expression mercurial. It's like moving really fast. I'm one way 1 minute, I'm another way the next. Mercury is ruled by Hermes, as also like the messenger is the other like way we talk about Mercury. And Hermes is like, we don't use this word anymore, but that word that people used to use of like hermaphrodite, I don't like that word, but I'm saying it because the prefix for that word came from Hermes. It was this thing of like, Hermes is this ability to flow, androgyny. Venus and Gemini is like, end gender, end it. It's not, we don't need to be one thing or the other. There's a fluidity to all of us. And the more we embrace that, the less we'll get in these rigid like prisons that we make for how relationships have to look. What are these, gender roles we have to perpetuate? So Venus and Gemini mixed with Saturn and Aquarius, we're going to be seeing, I think, just a lot of like deeper mindset shifts in the collective. And I invite everyone to be open to this, to embrace it. I invite everyone to just, again, part of this too is like, it's not, one group's mission. It's not one group's, it should not be a cause that just is associated with, one community. It's just that we should all be looking about breaking down this concept of like gender, of duality. Like we are not black and white. We are not like, we look at our government too, like Republican, Democrat, like, we want to be like man, woman. We want to put everyone in this tiny little neat label and package so that we understand everything about them and that we feel safe in that little label. But like, these are the labels have got to go. Okay. They're keeping us separate from each other. They're keeping us in like unhealthy, stuck little prisons. So that's the first thing with Venus and Gemini. Like, I mean, on the bigger level, like we're going to break it down as how it relates to on the micro level for you. But Venus and Gemini, like we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And Venus and Gemini is going to be with Saturn in Aquarius is like, it wants a new wave of social justice. It wants a new wave of, how we like in our community is a new way of how Venus is how we also like give and receive love, pleasure, security. So that's going to be all we're going through a huge thing, especially. Exactly. Yeah, it's not exactly like Drebe. I mean, honestly, if Drebe, if you were open to it, I'd love to have you come on alive. You're so well educated. This is your career is educating people on this. And I'm like, just scratching the surface, not doing a great articulate job. But like, this is not a TLGBTQ community. Like, this is not an issue for one community. This is for all of us. And the more that we think it doesn't affect us, the more it's going to affect us negatively, adversely. Okay. That's the first thing. That's Mama Maddie has your first homework for Venus and Gemini is like, get your head out of your ass when it comes to thinking that we have this duality. We're not in a binary system. So yeah, like I would love, okay, Dre Bay coming on here, listening, being open, letting ourselves be educated is also going to be a big thing about Venus and Gemini. Gemini rules education. Gemini is like giving and receiving pleasure and expanding ourselves and our sense of security and beauty in the world through educating ourselves, through listening to other people. Gemini is like smaller education. Sagittarius is like big education, like philosophy, world adventure. Gemini rules our communities and our neighborhoods and what's close to us. So listening to people in our community, Drebe, holler, and listening to people around you. And like Gemini is like learning things about people in our community, remembering we're all in one community, and really like being willing to learn something new. We get as humans, there's that concept of like cognitive dissonance. Like we get an idea in our head and we want everything to match that. So then we only talk to people who have our same opinions and ideals, or we just look for our side of the truth in every story. Venus and Gemini is like, that's not going to feel good to do that. We need to expand. We need to talk to our community. And Gemini is duality. So we need to study, but we need to listen. We need to talk and we need to hear. So we need to teach. We need to learn. So like if you're in a community and your community doesn't talk about this, then you're going to learn from someone like Drebe. You're going to listen. You're going to shut up. You're going to sit down. You're going to take notes. And then you're going to go into your community and be like, hey, this is what I just learned. Let's talk about it. Let's have these conversations. Okay. This is a very Venus and Gemini calling, especially with Saturn in Aquarius. Please believe this is like, we're in this breaking moment right now. All this Capricorn bone breaking. Capricorn rules like bones and teeth and skeleton. And we're in this Capricorn, everything's breaking, all these systems around us, so that we can weave it together and we can heal and we can mend. And it's like, how do we do that? Well, we look at astrology, we look at the blueprint. The first thing, Venus and Gemini, learn, talk, communicate, listen, especially to people who don't look like you, to people who don't have the same upbringings or beliefs as you. This is what we're going to start doing, right? Learning, mending. We're going to take care of people. Venus and Gemini is like taking care of people in our community, which we're doing. We're taking care of our elders. We're taking care of our healthcare, our frontline workers. Okay, they are our local community. Venus is also, what do you put on a pedestal? Venus is, the goddess energy. Those, we've seen those like busts of like the Venus goddess up on a pedestal. What do you put on a pedestal? Venus and Gemini wants to ask, whatever you put on a pedestal, whatever you're giving your attention, your admiration, your worship to, is like what's going to be fed back to you. So if you're feeding, again, the wrong things, or you're feeding these idols of like Hollywood, or idols of people who are just not putting out the good vibration in the world, that coming back to you, that's not what we want to expand. We want to expand, how can I put on a pedestal people in my community, those frontline workers, those sanitation workers, those healthcare workers? How can I put on a pedestal my teachers, Venus and Gemini, very teacher? How can I be like, wow, I want to like learn from them. I want to support them. This is going to be very Venus and Gemini right now. Okay. Everyone with me? I love it. Good. I'm seeing some hearts. I like that. So then Venus and Gemini too, I really want to stress that this is going to work for the macro community that we're in, but also the micro for you, an invitation. During Venus and Gemini, I want you to think about words, 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 words. Who here knows their love language? And who here has words of affirmation as part of your love language? I do. Spoiler alert, I do. I love words. I know some people say talk is cheap, and it is. Like, I want words and actions, please believe. Like, do not be trusting someone if they're just like, baby girl, I love you. Baby boy, I love you. You're my number one. And then they're like running around on you. That's not. Words of affirmation are like, I show up for you. I hold space for you. I see you. I respect you. I love you. But I'm going to put it into words too, because I want you to have this. I love a letter. I read it over and over again. I have a box and boxes and boxes of all the love letters that my life wizard has written for me. And I literally just read them. I let the words pour over me. My mom always wrote me like nice notes growing up. I'm big into words. So Venus and Gemini is words. Like, how can your words carry a healing vibration for the people that you love? And how can you use your words right now to, dare I ask, heal the world? It's a big thing. That's what we do. Our words. What do we have right now? We have words. Words are not canceled. Words are not quarantined. We have communication. I invite you, during this time, Again, Gemini is really like this written word, and spoken word. Write a letter, get some stamps, write some letters to people you love. Like, do we all know that feeling of going to the mailbox day in, day out and just getting bills and junk and like postcards from our dentist and like yelling at us? And or is that just me? And like just endless like weird little catalogs that people make. Why do people make catalogs? That's going out in the new age, I hope too. So, but how nice is it when you see that letter in someone you love's handwriting, written to you with a cute little like Snoopy stamp or something, and you're just like that feeling. It's called like your heart's alight. Your heart has a flame in it when you see that. I want you to think about like, how can I give that to someone? I want you to think of three people who have helped you on your journey, three people you admire, three people that you're like, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm gonna be morbid. I'm gonna be morbid here for a second. So if you're not prepared, sign off. We wait until people pass away. We wait until people die to tell people how much we love them and to talk about them. No, Venus and Gemini is like speak those words to the people where they can hear them. Speak those words to the people that you love so that you can literally heal and bring light into their heart right now. Okay. And Venus and Gemini, it's a cycle, it's a loop. It comes right back to you. So if you feed love into someone, guess what? They're going to feed that right back into you, through transmission, through energy, through action, through service, through love. And, we all are going through whatever you're going through. I'm sure people are having dark nights of the soul or feeling alone or feeling like, what am I doing? Am I showing up enough in the world? What is life? Maybe some existential dread. Who knows? So wouldn't it be nice to get a letter and be like, you really helped me out? 3 years ago, I was going through it. You were there for me. And that made all the difference. A month ago, you said something and it's just stuck with me. So I'm gonna do this too. We have 4 months to do it, but don't procrastinate. Let's just do it this weekend. So let's start. Or if you want to put on your calendar to write one postcard a week to someone, I just think Venus and Gemini is asking us to tune back in to the healing energy that we can carry within our words, and then to bring it to the level in the macro in our larger community. I'm going to invite everyone, um, you know, just to say the mantra, like my words can bring healing to the planet right now. My words can bring healing to the planet right now. If you have something you want to share, if you have a poem on your heart, if you have something that you've been seeing that's been not sitting the right way with you and you want to speak up for someone, Aries season 2, Aries is about speaking up for the underdog and the vulnerable. So speaking up, speaking out right now. If you just have a funny story or some positive news you want to share, like put it out in the world. I invite you, Venus and Gemini. Like, what are your words? What do you want to share? Tell your story. Did you get through some shit that you never thought you were going to get through? Did you go through something hard? Did you pick yourself up when you thought that you were broken? Someone needs to hear that because someone's in that spot right now. We get out of the darkness in life so that we can shed light on other people's journeys, okay? So they can look to our light to be like, okay, that person got through, they're still standing, they're surviving, nay, they're thriving. And I want us to think about that right now, okay? So Venus and Gemini, share your story. We're gonna do a lot, like the cosmic boss, for it's a bunch of you cosmic bosses on this right now. We're going to do a lot about like telling your story, and figuring out what that is. And guess what? If you're living, you're breathing, you have a story, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to share. So that's really big. Venus and Gemini is going to also be, I'm going to go deeper into this in Gemini season, but I'm going to plant some seeds now. Active listening, structured dialogue. We're going to go into more of the how-tos of the structured dialogue based on Harville Hendrix and his wife. I always forget her name, and I feel so bad because that's messed up of me to only remember him. But his book has been on my shelf for years. But I know his wife also co-facilitates the workshops. But they do imago dialoguing, and it's a whole system that we can use to do like harmony, disharmony repair of like, okay, how do we use conflict as a way to get deeper and bring ourselves deeper into each other and find resolution through communication. They do it with couples, but they also do it like for across cultures. They do it for people like in the UN. You learn how to do this. It's this great system of just learning how to really listen to someone and how to really mend. Not every fight has to be the end of a relationship. Fights aren't bad, disagreements aren't bad, as long as you have the tools to use that of like, okay, we have some disharmony right now, but this is how we can go from despair of this fight to repair, and let's mend. Let's weave ourselves even deeper into each other's hearts than we were before. Using that crack as a moment to mend, which is what we're going through on the collective right now. So we're going to talk about that, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Since this is in Gemini, a practice that I invite you to bring into your life and your practice this weekend is just called active listening. Do people know what that is? Active listening. I touched upon this a little bit on Wednesday, but as humans, we're taught that output is what's really valuable. We're taught that like the doing is what's valuable, saying something smart, having an answer, a solution for people is what we value. But really, in this new paradigm that we're bringing in, we want to remind ourselves that, like, actually, no, we don't have to be productive. We don't always have to be an output. We can allow ourselves to receive people's words, and we can allow ourselves to just hold space for other people and trust that that is enough. That is what they need. Okay. I don't know if anybody's ever been here and they just wanted to vent to their partner, that they've had a really like something kind of crappy happen to them that day, and their partner is just trying to like fix it. And it feels like they're actually skimming over or diminishing like your emotions in the moment. Like, oh, it's not a big deal. Or, we can fix that. It's not a big deal. That's fine. And that's a reaction because we don't want people around us to sit in discomfort. So we want to try and fix things. But we also know that that's not feeling seen. Like sometimes we just want someone to be like, yeah, that sucks. Like, I'm here for you. Or what can I do to support you is a good question. And also sometimes life moves really fast. Someone where we're talking, maybe it's not even venting, maybe we're just celebrating something from our day, and our partners, our friends, our family are kind of listening to us. It feels like, but they're a little distracted, or they're like on their phone, or you can tell they're processing something else mentally, or maybe they're like just jumping in to tell you their side of the story. Or that happened to me one time, and that's what I call it, like taking the mic back moment. Someone's talking to you and taking the mic back. Again, these are all things we're just conditioned to do these things. We don't have to internalize them. There's something wrong with us, but practicing active listening helps one as the person who's listening. It's like you don't have to solve anything. You don't have to come up with some superstar, superhero solution to someone's problem. And it allows you to just give someone that you love what they really crave, which is being seen and heard. So active listening just literally looks like nodding along. Like you can make empathetic faces, but really you want to keep even your facial expressions to kind of a minimum. Why? Because say someone's telling you a part of the story and you don't want to project any emotions onto them. So say someone's like, I got an email from my boss that I'm fired. And you're like, sorry. But they're like, no, actually, I feel really good about that. Like, you don't want to project your emotions onto their story is a big thing. So we're going to first zip our lips. Then we're just going to have like kind of a neutral but understanding face. Nodding is good. Murmuring, good. One of my teachers, I swear he's one of the most healing people I've ever met. And when you talk to him, and he just goes, And every time he does that, you're just like, oh, yes, I needed that. It's so simple, but so profound. So we're nodding. We're not having crazy faces. We're zipping our lips. Like, yeah, you might be like, yeah, well, I was fired one time. It was actually for the best. It all worked out. But that's immediately shifted the energy back to me and the mic. Okay. So we're sitting them, we're literally holding them. You can wrap them in like a bubble. Jamie knows what I'm talking about. Steven, our teacher. We got to get Steven on here. And just like, okay. Mm. And then when you feel like they're done and you feel like they've had their moment to process, just be like, I feel that. I feel that for you. Just say that. Like, I feel that. And then you could say something like, how does this all make you feel? You could ask them an engaging question. How does that make you feel? You can mirror and repeat back to them. So you want to recap. Show them that you digested the info. Okay. Saying, okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're fired. I heard that you're fired, but I'm hearing that you're confused about if you're excited or you're scared. And like you mirror it back to them. Dude, this feels so good to hear. Jamie, who's Lexi Eve, she is the queen of active listening. She changed my life with active listening. When she comes on, we might also have to ask her about this. She's went to this beautiful spiritual psychology program. She's a Libra. I feel like this is a Libra gift. All my air signs have this gift with communication. Just like, okay. And then after you ask them some active questionings, and you're not using the word me or I in MAFS, just saying, well, I did this one time, or I feel, I brings the energy back to you. You're holding space for them. And then when everything's done, when you've processed, they feel like they processed, you've asked some questions. If you feel like you need to kind of like wrap up this moment, you can say, okay, what can I do for you? What can I do to support you? Do you know how good that feels to have someone say, what can I do to support you? Because it just says, I don't have my own agenda here. I'm not trying to push my own story on you or hurry you through whatever you need to feel. And also, it gives that person a moment to think. Because sometimes we do just want to complain for complain's sake, and we haven't even thought of what we want to get out of the scenario besides the complaining. And asking this question, it's like a new potential emerges, a new possibility, and we can move out of we want to process, we want to complain, we want to vent, but we don't want to stay in that space for too long, right? So having someone ask, what can I do for you? It's like one step out. Okay, it doesn't have to be fixing, but yeah, and it's like, okay, now we can be like, okay, what do I need right now? Do I need a hug? Do I need a nap? Do I need like to write some things down or pro and con list? Yes, Jamie, questions help them clarify how they are feeling. Absolutely. Like we need that space to clarify. Clarify is literally like a clarification, like cleaning something, rising up from the mud, like clarifying, like honing in on, when we're in emotions, it's like we're in it, we're in the weeds, we're caught in a riptide, we can't really see. So when you ask someone a question, it just helps them get out of that riptide, get a little bit closer to shore, be able to see the problem with a little bit more, see their emotions with a little bit more arm's length. So, I wanted to have Jamie on twice, one to talk about energy hygiene and one to talk about this, communication, structured dialogue, active listening. But this just as a base for holding space for someone, just, listening, zipping the lip, feeling like engaged, embodying engagement, nodding, like murmuring, yes, and just being with them, eye contact, shoulders square. You stay in your breath. This is embodiment. And then asking them these clarifying questions like, I heard you. I'm going to repeat back a little bit of what I heard to show that I was listening. So you can also hear what you were telling me. And then some clarifying questions at the end. And then how can I support you? This is a game changer in relationships, guys, right? Gabriella, it feels so good to be heard. Aaliyah, thank you for saying this. Yeah, this feels really good. And this is Venus and Gemini right now. The pleasure, how we give and receive pleasure, how we activate more love in our heart chakra and feel more secure and safe in the world is Venus energy. Okay. And this is in Gemini right now. The sign of twins, the duality, the listening, the speaking. Gemini, Mercury ruled, communications, dialoguing. So I'm going to leave that at that for right now. There's so much I can say about Venus and Gemini. We're gonna have so much fun. Actually, I'll leave you with one more thing for Venus and Gemini, because you know what? It's Friday and it's the weekend, baby. The time is a construct. Um, Venus and Gemini, all of that. If you're just tuning in, definitely the active listening component, the larger scale things about how we're leaving the binary behind in these next few months. P.S. That's happening. For right now, weekend invitation, write a letter to someone you love or use your words to offer up some healing. Practicing active listening. And my last invitation is practice a little bit of your flirtatious energy. We all have it, it's in us. We see like how babies sometimes flirt and like bat their eyelashes, and like when they get attention, they're just like, This is in us. This is Gemini. Venus and Gemini is like being flirtatious, being a little coquettish, being a little bit like mischievous and light. It's not that like seductress Scorpio energy, even though we are in a Scorpio moon right now. This is more just like just a little flirty with life. So I just invite you to see and practice your flirtation skills this weekend. Like we're all freaking just home, but like flirting is fun. Even the word flirt is fun. It's like you could put up a little flirty post of yourself, a little sacred thirst trap, and just be like, hey world, I see you. You can just, flirt on someone. Also, being flirted with feels so good. Like, I don't know, your FedEx worker, they're still dropping stuff off. So why don't you just be like, hi, looking cute today? You think they don't need to hear that? Like, a little flirt. If you're in a long-term relationship, I'm home with my partner, like, I gotta turn the flirt up a little bit. It's fun. It's fun to flirt. It's life-giving. It's Gemini. Gemini is a very effervescent energy. Jamie, effervescence, one of our favorite words. It's like effervescent energy. It's like bringing some bubbles back and light and silly. It's like champagne bubbles rising to the top of life. So that's it. That's your Venus and Gemini. Oh my gosh, guys, it's snowing here. What is happening? Okay, we're officially just in a bizarre world right now. Is that snow? I'm so confused. Okay, so Venus and Gemini, review this. We're headed into this for 4 months. Obviously, I'm going to give you plenty of updates as it goes retrograde, but we don't need to focus on that right now. If we're doing our homework and we're paying attention to the Venus and Gemini alignment right now, then this is like doing the pre-work that will just help us as it goes retrograde. This work right now, aligning ourselves to this, the learning, the listening, paying attention to our neighborhood and our community, it's going to be like, this is going to be really paying off for us as it goes retrograde. Retrogrades only are rocky and like super unstable if we're not heeding the lessons before. Retrogrades come to spin things up, to shake out like what's not working, to illuminate. And like if we are paying attention, then it's like I'm sorry, I can't get over the snow. Okay, right, Kelly. Abby, the snow is like distracting me from my spiel right now. Oh my Abby, weather went full Scorpio moon this morning. Yeah, the weather's like, oh, you think it's springtime? Here's a snowstorm. So I'm like, what? I was like sunbathing like 2 days ago, and now I'm like, what? So yeah, like paying attention, doing your work, and then you get to use Venus retrograde as a moment to review things you've learned, to just sit in it and to allow like the universe to work some of its magic versus holding on for dear life and feeling like WTF is happening on this cosmic roller coaster. Okay, does that sound good for everyone? Venus and Gemini, let's definitely show up for each other. I'm just gonna end with reading from Astrology for Real Relationships from Jessica Lignato, one of my favorite astrologers. And I had the pleasure of doing a panel with her this winter for Aquarius season. And she wrote this really good book on understanding astrology through the lens of relationships, through friends, chosen family, short-term hookups, long-term hookups, like long-term relationships, cohabitating. She writes about it all beautifully. So I invite you definitely to look at this book if you want to learn more. And I'm just going to read about Venus and Gemini to close through her lens. So this is the natal Venus and Gemini. So if you have Venus and Gemini in your chart, This is you, but this is all a little bit of the energy that we're under, the spell that's over us right now. Venus and Gemini, because they can see all angles of a situation, these people can end up changing their mind at the last minute or saying one thing and doing another. They are inclined to be generous. This is the good stuff for us to hear right now. And open minded, like I said before, open minded, and genuinely interested in their partners. Genuinely interested in their partners. When was the last time you showed genuine interest in your partner, in your friend, in someone in your life? So I love that. Geminis, when they're in their happy place, they can be flirtatious. So it's important that their partners aren't too jealous or possessive. So we're definitely gonna look out for being jealous and possessive, especially as we move into retrograde, especially if are the Venus and Gemini, because you love to flirt your way through life. So your partners could get jealous. But I want us to think about that generosity, being open-minded, being genuinely interested in our partners, and this like, yeah, this sacred high vibe flirtation. So, uh, oh, Dreva, you're Venus and Gemini? Of course. That's why I keep thinking, this is why you gotta come on. Okay, we have to have you come on for a Venus and Gemini talk and then share some of your deep, deep wisdom. Okay, everyone. So sending you love, sending you juicy pleasure, Venus, Friday, Goddess Day energy to each and every one of you. May it imbue and just light up your day. May it inspire you. And I will see you on Monday for our next morning show. And if you're in the cosmic community, I'll see you at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time for a high vibe happy hour. Bring a cocktail, mocktail. We're just going to hang and be. Okay. So, everyone, signing off here, signing off on the YouTube. Bye, everybody.